Now, a lot of people might be looking at these and be like, "Ah, that's scary." You know, it kind of reminds me of, when you're wearing pants that are too tight, so then you just kind of like bulge out over top of it. I don't want a muffin top on my forehead. And now you might be thinking like, "Oh gosh, that's gonna look horrible." It's not, I promise. Hi everybody, welcome back to the Chiquel YouTube channel. My name is Amanda and today I'm going to show you guys how I would cut the lace front on my wigs. But before I jump into it, I'm going to remind you to like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel where you can learn even more about alternative hair. Okay, so like I said, today I'm going to talk about trimming the lace front. Now, I'm not talking about custom human hair wigs that have all that floppy lace where you can customize your hairline yourself. I'm talking about these pre-made, big brand, ready to wear, throw and go type wigs that already have a pre-cut lace front. So all of the wigs that we sell at Chiquel come with those pre-cut lace fronts. So really you can take it out of the box, put it on, and typically you are ready to go and you don't really need to do anything at all to your lace front. However, on occasion, there might be some times where you might feel you need to trim it or cut it back a little bit. Sometimes lace fronts will start to fray a little bit. And if that's the case, then yes, I would suggest you grab your scissors and cut it back a little bit. Sometimes lace fronts won't necessarily match your skin tone the way you want it to. It might be a little too dark, it might be a little bit too light, and therefore it might be a little bit too visible on your skin. So if that's the case, you may want to trim it back a little bit so it's less visible. Or you may just find that some of these pre-made ready-to-wear wigs, the lace front is just a little bit too long for your liking, so you just want to remove some of it. So if you are sitting there watching this video right now and I have given a reason as to why you might need to cut your lace front, then let me show you how I do it. Honestly, you guys, it's really not as scary as you think it is. I know so many people are absolutely terrified of cutting their lace fronts because they don't want to ruin the wig. And that is completely valid. I mean, some of these wigs can be pretty expensive and yeah, we don't want to ruin them. But I don't want you to stress, guys. It's really quite simple and I'm going to do mine right in front of you so that you can see that we don't need to worry too much. Okay, so first things first, grab your wig, of course, the wig that you need to cut, and then put it on your head. So I'm right now wearing Lite by Jon Renau. Now, the reason I'm gonna be cutting my lace on Lite today is because Jon Renau's Lite caps have a substantially longer lace front than most of their other caps. So if I come up closer here, if I raise my eyebrows, you can kind of see where that lace begins, and it's right here. So for me, that makes it a little bit more noticeable. And of course, we don't want to have a lace front that's super noticeable. So I sometimes find that with these light caps by Jon Renau, if I like raise my eyebrows, it kind of reminds me of, when you're wearing pants that are too tight, so then you just kind of like bulge out over top of it. That's kind of what these light caps remind me of. If I raise my eyebrows, it's like I have a little muffin top on my forehead. I don't want a muffin top on my forehead. So therefore, we're going to cut it. All right, so once you have grabbed your wig and put it on your head, the first thing you're going to want to do is get that hair away from your face. So I've grabbed some clips here. Any clip will do, really. And just get it off of your face so that it's not going to get in the way. All right, there's one side, and I'll get the other side all clipped up here and out of the way. While I'm doing this, you can see that these light caps are really great because they have this ear to ear lace front. So you're gonna get that realistic appearance of a hair growing right from your hairline with these light caps. I'm just gonna make this side a little tighter. I didn't quite do that tight enough. It felt a little floppy. Okay. There we go, much better. All right, now we have no hair on our lace front, which means we are ready to start cutting already. Like, this is gonna be a really quick video, you guys. Okay, now let's talk about the scissors that you might use. Now, I mean, really, as long as it's a pair of sharp scissors that can cut, I mean, scissors are scissors, right? If it's sharp and it can cut, then you're gonna be okay. I just don't recommend going to your kid's art cabinet and using your toddler's little $2 scissors. Just don't use those ones. As long as they are sharp, you should be okay. Now, a lot of people like using like tiny little nail scissors. They feel like they get a little bit more precision with them. I find my fingers are too fumbly for tiny little scissors. I honestly just use like my shears that I use for cutting my hair. So these are just shears that you can get at the drugstore that you would use for cutting your hair. However, I also like to use, when cutting my lace fronts, pinking shears. Now, pinking shears are the scissors that have this zigzag pattern to them. Now, pinking shears are what a lot of people use for sewing and fabrics and stuff like that. However, this is a really common way to cut your lace front. Now, a lot of people might be looking at these and be like, "Bah, that's scary. That's gonna make my lace fray. It's gonna wreck it, and it's gonna make it uneven." But the whole thing here with the pinking shears, first of all, it's not gonna wreck your lace front. A lot of people think it might cause fraying on your lace front. It's not gonna do that. But the whole thing about lace fronts is that you want it to melt into your skin. And when you have a line that's straight across and perfect, that's gonna make the lace front a little bit more visible than if it were a little bit jagged, because that's gonna just help it melt into your skin a little bit better. So that's why some people enjoy using these pinking shears, and I like using them too. However, that's not to say you can't use your normal scissors too. Now, what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna do both versions on this wig so that you can see each of them. So once I've done this, I'm gonna take off my wig here and come up close. So I'm going to start with my scissors. Now, I am okay with the amount of lace that I have around my ear tab, so I'm not gonna start cutting it closer there. But as you can see, the lace here at the front is pretty long. Now, when you're cutting your lace, really, you don't want to go so close to the hairline that it's touching the hairline. You want to leave a little bit of a gap between the start of your hairline and then where you're gonna stop cutting your lace. Now, the reason you wanna leave a little bit of a gap is because sometimes lace fronts do start to fray. Not because you're cutting it, they just sometimes have a tendency to fray over time. And when you get those little frays, you are gonna wanna have that space and that room on your lace front to be able to trim it back just ever so slightly. If you're cutting right up to your hairline, then you're not gonna have the space to cut your lace, and you're gonna be cutting your hair off right at the front, and that's never good. So you wanna leave just a little bit of space. I would say like, I don't know, at least half a centimeter maybe, and that's gonna give you that room to trim those little bits of frayed lace if that ever starts to happen. Okay, so I'm gonna come up close here. I'm gonna end up doing more of like an angled cut because I don't need to cut right close to where the ear tab is. So I'm gonna start around here. Hope you guys can see this. And honestly, I'm just gonna start cutting. And when I have scissors as opposed to the pinking shears, you can just cut. It doesn't have to be perfect. I suggest kind of going in a little bit of a zigzaggy, curvy pattern anyway, because that's just gonna make sure you don't have that straight line of lace right on your head. So like I was saying, the more imperfect that lace front is, the easier it's going to melt into your skin. So see how I'm not like, it doesn't have to be perfect, guys. So that's why I'm saying this isn't that scary, because it doesn't have to be perfect. How many times can I say that? It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, I'm coming in on the other side here. I'm just letting these bits fall to the ground. Oh dear, and I just missed a little spot here that's I'm gonna trim off. Okay, so let me hold this up and you can see how it's not perfect. Do you see? And now you might be thinking like, oh gosh, that's gonna look horrible. It's not, I promise. I'm gonna put it on and it's just gonna melt into the skin. You're not gonna see a straight line and it's just melting a little bit nicer. So I cut it back. It's not as long in the front and we're looking a little bit better. Now, okay, now I'm gonna do it with pinking shears. So I didn't cut a ton of lace back so that I could have room now to do the pinking shears. Pinking shears, honestly, they're kind of big and bulky and heavy, which kind of makes them a little bit tricky to work with in a sense. But Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. You really just have to follow the line, cut along the front line, and just make sure you're leaving a little bit of space between the lace and the hairline. So I'm gonna start cutting right around here, and I'm just gonna cut. And you can do it slowly if you want, but it doesn't have to be like insanely slow. I will say for the 100 millionth time, it doesn't have to be perfect, just as long as you are not cutting right up to the hairline so you have space. Okay, I'm gonna go a little bit closer to the ear tabs there. Okay, you guys can kind of see that, right? You can see, I'm gonna put the scissors down now. There is all of those zigzag lines. So if I come up close here, this way, you can see there's a little bit of space from where the hairline starts to where the lace ends. So now if I have to trim back anymore, I still have a little bit of room here to do so. And now with this zigzag line, it's going to melt into my head. Phew, look at this volume. All right, let me adjust this. And now I don't have that line that we were looking at earlier, and it's melting nicely into my head. So, I mean, I feel like I don't have that much else to tell you guys. Like it really is simple. We just really, at the end of the day, have to get over our fear of ruining our wig and just kind of go for it. And if you really want to, just do little by little. If you feel like there's, a chunk of lace that you just feel like you need to cut, go little by little by little, and that might help ease you into it, and that's okay. Whatever you need to do to make it work. But really, it's not as scary as we think it is. Okay, you guys, with that, I'm gonna skedaddle. If you have any more questions about this, please feel free to comment below and I will gladly get back to you on it. But for now, have a wonderful day and I will see you next time. Bye, everybody.